Christian extremism is not a new phenomenon, and it is not primarily a feature of other cultures. The Crusades, the Inquisition, the wars of religion, the colonization of the Americas, the transatlantic slave trade, and the Holocaust all occurred in Christian-majority societies with the blessing or active participation of Christian institutions. The 20th century added the Lord's Resistance Army in Uganda, the Christian Identity Movement in the United States, the Phineas priesthood, and various white nationalist movements that explicitly draw on Christian imagery and theology. The most significant contemporary manifestation of Christian extremism in the West is not any of these fringe groups but the broader movement of Christian nationalism, the belief that the United States, or Brazil, or Hungary, or Poland, is a Christian nation that should be governed according to Christian principles, and that its current leadership represents a demonic assault on Christian civilization that justifies extreme political action. Christian extremism operates through the same five-part mechanism that characterizes all religious extremism: perceived humiliation, cosmic reframing, selective textual justification, boundary hardening, and ritualization of violence. The specific content differs from jihadist extremism, but the structure is identical. The perceived humiliation is the cultural marginalization of Christianity by secular liberalism, feminism, and LGBT rights. The cosmic reframing presents this as a spiritual war between God and Satan, with conservative Christians on the side of God. The textual justification draws on Old Testament war narratives, Revelation's imagery of apocalyptic conflict, and dominionist theology that mandates Christian governance. The boundary hardening distinguishes true Christians from apostates who have accommodated to secular values. The ritualization of violence ranges from anti-abortion clinic bombings to the Capitol assault to the rhetoric of spiritual warfare that saturates evangelical political culture. The evidence for the growth of Christian nationalist extremism in the United States is both quantitative and qualitative. The Southern Poverty Law Center documented a significant increase in active far-right groups with Christian nationalist themes between 2015 and 2022. Survey data from the Public Religion Research Institute consistently shows that large minorities, and in some demographics, majorities, of white evangelical Protestants hold views consistent with Christian nationalism, including the belief that God has called true Christians to dominate political and social institutions. The January 6, 2021 assault on the U.S. Capitol included explicit Christian nationalist imagery, wooden crosses, Bibles, Jesus Saves signs, and prayers on the floor of the Senate. The Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, two organizations charged with seditious conspiracy related to January 6, both have significant overlaps with Christian nationalist ideology. These are not the acts of a fringe, they reflect the political culture of a substantial minority. The lesson of Christian extremism is that proximity to power does not immunize a religion against extremism. It may accelerate it. The merger of Christian identity with political power, which is what Christian nationalism represents, creates the conditions for the most dangerous form of religious extremism: state-sponsored religious violence. When the state is committed to a religious agenda, minorities who do not share that agenda have no protection. The historical record of Christian theocracy, Calvin's Geneva, Puritan Massachusetts, the Papal States, is not encouraging. The most effective protection against Christian extremism, as against all forms of religious extremism, is the strict separation of religious and political authority, a principle that is under assault across the democratic world at precisely the moment when it is most needed. Thank you for watching The Shadow of Extremism. Sources and references are on screen. Subscribe to follow the full series.